Hello, welcome to Of Darkness and Light. This is Daphne Garrido. Tonight I am going to be talking about my short story Wizard and my plans for a short story collection that is about remade mythology. Perhaps just kind of a mythological theme in general, so I can include some other pieces that I feel are mythological but not remaking something historical of existence. I'm talking a little slower tonight than I normally have been. I caught a little breeze of a cold or some kind of reaction to some allergic reaction. So I have been slowing down a bit today. I just kind of like napped it out, took a bath, and then finished Wizard, which I had written to completion on a first pass yesterday, but it needed a lot of work. And so I gave it a few more passes today. I think I had done 1.5 when I started going at it today. But I was taking big breaks with this one. I write very fast when I'm writing, but then sometimes I feel like I have to do dives to figure out where I'm going with something. And so I dive. And I do that through my video journaling, and I do that through spamming one person in particular's email inbox. And just like, it's wizardry. I love this story. This is an exploration of the Merlin myth, perchance. Never give it up. Never giving it up. I'm gonna burn it into the memory of every single person in the world. That stupid meme's never gonna die because they got me to laugh so hard at that stupid shit. So yes, I had the music all for this straight up from the beginning, and I had a plan. I knew what I was doing. I knew I was gonna. I straight up sat down to write this story. So a few days ago, I had a little bit of a nap that I got cut short from because I got hyped because I had been staring at the word wizard. Like, that's the hottest word to my brain. My schizophrenic, time-feeling brain. You can fight me about it. But this is another one because I wrote wizard as a part title in one of my books, Time Throws Fire Part 1, formerly. It's called Time Bellows Gasoline now. Because that turned from a 2-part book into a 3-part book. It's a 3-book book. But I listen to music sometimes and I just feel vibes in it that are undeniably answered later. I write towards feeling, and you can call it pattern recognition all you want. I saw the wizard. I have to leave it open as potentially pattern recognition to not be a delusional person, right? Because I can't prove it either way. But I'm telling you, it's 60-40 for me. It's 40% chance that it's just pattern recognition, and it's 60% chance that sometimes these vibes I'm feeling, because I swear to God, I wrote it as a part title for Time Bellows Gasoline, and I stared at it forever. And I was just like, that's the hottest single word ever now. Why? Why is wizard so hot to my brain? And I think this is the answer, right? And so, yeah, maybe there's a part of me that did some wicked subconscious pattern recognition that I have some story to tell about wizardry, but I don't think that makes as much sense as this bitch just feels some shit sometimes, and it's like, damn, something in the future has to do with that. And I do that with music to write towards in my stories. And that's a part of my magic. I'm kind of a magician with my writing. And my state of living. I am a schizophrenic person, like a Kundalini awakened, plant medicine, yogic breathing, opening, but with no support, and my life fell apart. So I'm literally trying to sell this story for $6,000 to anyone who wants to buy film adaptation rights and just allow me to publish it in a collection of short stories. And I'm going to be sending it out to film producers. I started with a list of gay men or queer men and producers, actors and directors. So I shoot my shot on Threads as my favorite social media platform because there's just not that many people using it very effectively. And so I feel like I get through more on that platform when I like tag people, because it's like, who's the one person messaging me on Threads with a tag? That's the hope, at least. Or somebody on their team who runs social media observes that and then perhaps passes it along, is my hope. But regardless, I'm looking for donations, and if you want to support my art in any way, I am open to offers. So there's a lot of art that I have available, but what I'm going to be working on first is a collection of short stories because it feels the closest to complete. This is my finest work yet. I have a story called Horrendous Maleficence that's sitting here, and it's an Illith mythology, and she's just a trans lady, dude. That's the whole story. It's gonna be hot. She's a trans lady who fights back. What a demon. So yeah, we've got Daphne. Oh, we got Daphne in that all the way. One day I'm gonna write a very profound novel that is about Olympus. But there's a lot to pick through. There's so much conflation. That's the thing, is like, I love Greek mythology because it is blatant mythology. They're my favorite interpretation of how to take it all is that it was produced at the Temple of Apollo by the, I might have said it wrong. That's not the correct term, I don't know. Maybe it is. But Pythia's palace, Pythia's mountaintop palace. And that it was based off people, but who knows? And that it's for everybody, it's for archetypes. But that mythology is pure in comparison to others when it comes. So this is my take on what I love comparative mythology, but it gets me twisted because when I try and take Greek mythology and mix it with Egyptian mythology and try and find the synchronicities that might tell of truth, it just gets so scrambled because they're close, but they're so not perfect. And it's just like, there's all this different shit going on and it's really confusing to me. And so I kind of stay out of Egyptian mythology. I'm a white bitch anyways. So there's that. But out of all the world mythologies that exist, the one that appeals to my heart the most, but also feels like one that's closest to what I would want to create, and so don't want to absorb too much, so I don't appropriate it when I kind of like create my own mythology, is Hawaiian mythology. because it's so beautiful and scary and true, and of the elements, right? Such a pretty mythology of gods and goddesses and what they mean. But I don't want to dip my toes into that. I'm staying in my wheelhouse. And this one's hot. It's basically, Wizard is basically, Merlin is destroying Morgan Le Fay. It's a redux on that tale. It's giving him the win. And it's making him a gay man that history of mythology has bastardized from being who he was and to just be this solitary person, who's also a little bisexual, but does not love women. So that's not even in the text. It's literally in the context of Horace Wimp. The Diary of Horace Wimp. It's just like, he's got a little bit of a crush on this bitch, right? Like, and that's a part of the mythology as well. It's like, maybe they had a thing once. But she's a witch. This is a super underhanded, appropriate for the times kind of witch burning. But not really. It's just a singular human being. And there's a little bit in the subtext there where it's like, it's like there's more than just the Countess and her husband. Like there's a little group, like a coven kind of, super brief in there. But that's intended, but also trying to walk the line of like, hey, we're not going to be doing witch burning, obviously. I'm not for that. That's kind of what's happening to me as a schizophrenic, genius, trans woman. And it's like, to be a proper witch, you also have to be of a class where the genius is unseen, right? And so it's like the witches of Salem, those were cisgendered women who were doing stuff probably and getting their body intelligence roaring, and perchance some of the ones that were truly kind of doing things that were magical and not just associating with them were body intelligence schizophrenics who knew how to scream the shit from their guts, but kind of did it on auto response. Anyways, that just works for me. I'll probably, in this story, in this collection of short stories, do a Salem, right? But Horrendous Maleficence is going to be hot. And then I've got a couple other ideas as well. One is to do a kind of more comic booky adventure style short story that is definitely not film adaptable, but just a joy to read. That is basically like a white girl storm dream fantasy. That just seems hot and fun. And it's kind of a reverse, right? It'll be like, it's literally going to be a reversal of Wizard, and that it's like, this is going to do a lightning woman who is not in the same kind of historical setting at all, but we're going to have dual lightning remade mythologies. And this one is going to be of purpose that is super subtextual, whatever it's called, Storm Bitch, stormy weather. Anyways, we'll work on that. But the idea is there's been this demonization of Black folks African American people, um, to be seen as a bluster, right? Um, when they are acting in impossible situations of expectation from white folks, basically. Um, and yeah, everybody. Uh, and so I knew someone very dearly to me that it was a Black woman, and she didn't like didn't like getting into storm too much. And so there's some weird suppressive reverse psychology going on there, with Storm being the lifted up character in the X-Men series for Black women. That's also kind of a caricature of the demonization principles that are unfair. And white girls are drooling to be Storm, right? So if you flip it, you're got a big win for the white girls. And then you're we're helping. That's what I'm saying. We're helping. Because people should be the storm and the sea and they should be everything. They should be the stones and the fire and the ether. I think that's about it. I say stone instead of earth. Earth's cool too. Dirt's pretty hot. But I like stone. Okay, so we're gonna go through the other ones too. There's also Hypatia of Earth, which I love. Mary and Jesus. And then when you get to the ones that aren't historical that would play for me, those Deepest Woods definitely works for me. It's just a mythological piece. Maybe kind of the underworld too. I mean, I'll have to think about that one. It's just more Daphne business. Probably not. I love the grimoire for it though. I'll have to do some more work on that one. I've just always tightened it up and kind of like left it as is, because it was what it was. It was of its time. It was one of my very first short stories, and I love it. But I can hit that language and make it a masterpiece, because its bones already are to me. So, I don't know. We'll see. There's others to come. There's also the big one that I've been kind of like building towards for some time, that I've had in my mind, that I love the idea of, which is Dido v. Hannibal. And the idea is to have these characters separated through time, interspliced through the story, but of kind of ideological opposition, right? And the idea is to invert the overblown heroism seen in Hannibal's trek over the mountains to fight with Rome, and people kind of prop up as this great victory against empire. But I mean, they won the battle, lost the war. And that's not a good thing, right? And so it's like this beginning and the end of Carthage, which was a place that had great potential for science and arts and culture, that was wiped out by the Roman Empire, right? Eventually. And so we don't really know the truth there. And so I don't like Dido's history when I look at it in my guts. So I'm kind of like letting that settle. There's obviously familial baggage and some kind of escape from circumstances that were unpleasant to take place ferociously and plant seeds for a change. And I love that. And so that's what I'm going to go with on her. And then I knew about Hannibal, right? some dude pitched him. I was like, some history buff. I asked the question. I was like, what's the best story in history you've never seen a film of? And he was like, Hannibal, dude, it's the coolest. And I was fascinated by it. It's a fascinating historical event. But yeah, so I'll hit that. That'll be hot. Let's talk about Wizard. Oh, hey, that's gunfire. I don't hear that around here very often. I used to hear it more often in Renton, Washington. I'm in Tukwila, Washington, in a nice little cozy nook. I'm not afraid of that, because it's probably just some angry dude shooting at a tree. I saw somebody do that once a long time ago, and I was like, okay, that's what people are doing with guns when they shoot them off. I don't have to imagine a murder. Just saw some angry guy being like, I need to shoot my gun. And he just like walked out behind a building and shot it a bunch of times. It was scary. Oof, yeah. But I don't assume the worst, is I guess my teaching from hearing gunshots. You get the energy back you put out, is my belief when it comes to interactions with other people. People who are afraid of like street violence, they must be asking for it. That's what I'm saying. It's like targets are chosen. This is beautiful to me, because I've been exploring the reality of there being archetypal souls, to my estimation. And this is the first time I've written outside of my wheelhouse entirely. Because this is a beautiful gay man soul that cuts to the core of the inversion of modern understanding in culture, that is a strength made upside down, which is that gay men have a softness of heart, and it is exploited by the world at large. And it makes them fierce protectors of children, because that happens to them when they're children and they are seen as who they are. And so there is this class of fierce children protectors by nature that are leaders. Everyone is a leader. So I try and make archetypal characters that embody themselves to the level of true leadership. And they see the clearest reflection. If you're an honorable gay man and somebody has problems with you around children, that person is not to be trusted around children. The worse it gets, the worse it is. It's an earnest 50-50 reflection. That's how it works. Projection is everything. It's math. So we've got great judges of character here as well, in certain regards, that are being culturally vilified as the exact opposite of what they are, in a complete upside down, that people that believe themselves great people, who are emotional manipulators and emotional abusers at the least of children, often will then pretend are the problem. It's absurd. So this is a complete, there's a part in here where it says something about like they share that with the children of, and it's like, obviously it's insulting in here, because it's just like, how could they not share their gifts of leadership with the children, right? And it's just like, I went hard on it, because I'm like, it seems ridiculous to have to say that clearly, right? but I'm gonna do an extra sentence to just be like, dude, we're gonna go over this over again. The language in this, I'm really, really proud of. I spent a lot of time trying to make it beautifully written to my own estimation. And I followed my subconscious path. I had music. When I sat down, I knew just about nothing. I knew there was going to be an orb session on the second song. And I knew the first song, I heard it and I was like, okay, we're introducing these characters and it's going to be kind of magical is what I thought. It's going to be interesting. Because I did it with the music, right? It's like, I heard this, Hannah Pero is such an amazing musician. Holy shit, like orchestrator, magnificence. And vision I've been wanting to use for a while. I might have used it once, but I write to music and hers is my favorite to write to, honestly. But I just felt it. That's what I do. I feel it. And so I felt these songs. And with Vision, I was just like, that's really, really cool. And it had the right imagery for the beginning of my wizard story. I was just like, that's hot. That's an orb. I know we're doing an orb at some point. But that's the thing is I knew exactly what I wanted to do because I had called a shot from my subconscious to lead me. That was, this story's going to break the world. So get excited. I'm going to write it today. And then I did, but I didn't get finished with it, or I finished it the next morning or the next day. And my first pass, and then I needed some time. I don't think I finished it that day. I finished it, yeah, it took me a while. Because I was searching for answers on where I was going with it, and I didn't even find them consciously. I just got to a place where I sat down and I was like, okay, we're flowing again. Sometimes my subconscious just opens the floodgates with these stories, and I'm like, okay, we're going. But that's the thing, I go through it, and the orb section is probably my favorite. I'm calling it the orb because that's the thing, is like, I knew I wanted to undermine the jokiness of pondering an orb. I was like, I'm gonna make it really, really respectful and important. And like, this is a metaphor for my art therapy process as someone on the shamanistic spectrum, right? And then, yeah, I knew I was gonna wanna move. I was like, we're gonna get towards the end of this story and we're gonna do it in some leaps and bounds that are really profound, but give you the tone of a journey and get you there. Because I had the ending song and I was like, holy shit. So I was like, we're gonna break the world with this story. And I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? I don't even know. I was like, are we gonna make Merlin a trans woman? That's what I always seem to do. And so I was like thinking about that and it didn't work for me. And I was like, I'm gonna make him a man. And then I was just like, I'm gonna make him a gay man. That makes sense. And then I was listening to music while I was running an errand and just letting some stuff play. And that Ursine Vulpine Renzo Kuken song came on. And I was just like, this is where we're fucking going. This is where we're going. It was that day that I recorded the video that said, we're gonna break the world. I went out and I ran an errand and I heard some songs and I was just like, I'm feeling vibes, dude. But that one came on and I was like, I know exactly what we're doing. I'm gonna break the world by making the thing that people think is the nerdiest, the hottest thing ever written. We're doing lightning hands. But then we're gonna do it so grounded to start in a non-magical reality of like medieval times that they'll never see it coming. And then I was just working it with how much it's about his hands and the energy. And it's just like, I work that language so hard to be red herrings that hopefully, even for the smartest cookie, don't give it away, but piss them off. I want a person who absorbs red herrings like a subconscious mastermind and never gets surprised with a big reveal in a story that does something that is absolutely the right answer at the end of a story, to get that feeling of, holy shit, that was what was coming this whole time. I even called the shot, right? There was some part about his that the role he was like born towards playing through life, and whatever it said after that was such a call forward to how it's going to end. And I almost unitalicized the top bit because there's other rhyming portions, and I didn't do that because that's such a cool, this is the whole story in a really weird way. I just love it. I was just trusting my guts on that. And obviously, Apofilo, yeah. That's an Arthur, right? And so it's like, yeah, that's the Arthur and Merlin story. And they're just like, let's leave out the part that it was a gay man who like, and make it so, yeah, it's just like takes the mythology that would save the world, right? It's just like, let's rip everything backwards so people don't trust the greatest protectors of children. And they're like, oh, these are all rapey men. And it's just like, what is your malfunction, dude? Who would want to protect children of all make more than people who have had to suffer through suppression of bigotry their whole lives, right? It's like, it's an obvious thing. So let's get the mythology the right way up. Once last, I made up a combo word that I love the most. Fight me about it. Hilo and Elevon's love is so pretty to me. It's just like everything. That's the good love. And that's how it should be. People are so insecure when people love each other, and most often gay men who love each other that way trigger such insecurity in people. And it's a shame because it's a blessing to everyone. Ionospheric showers shed light which taught of change from the sun. Cleanest air was a breath to a human's shifting spirit. That's my subconscious saying we used to be able to read sun signs of energy because the air was clean. And I'm just like, that's a hot idea. And I got there because I called it Ion, right? The horse, and I queued it up. I'm not going to talk about all my clever language, but I will say that my very favorite part of the whole bitch is a rhyme. Oh God, it's so hot. Telling traits of tender tales would break a boy of great regales, nightingales, and willow walks. Each feather fell, unwound the clocks. It was just like, Merlin's about to go crazy. And I was backing into it so hard, right? It's like I'm making him seem like an old man. And like he just bops people on the head with his staff, but then it's like he kind of like, he's got some people to kill. And so it's doing it honorably, where it's like, this is in his perspective, like I write, it's in his inflected third person omniscient perspective. The narration is driven by how he would feel and think, and he is being driven by shamanistic body intelligence, the way that I kind of am speaking now from my subconscious intelligence, because my conscious mind is all messed up from being schizophrenic. And if you are a wizard, in my mind, you've got some schizophrenia going on. But anyways, this is just something I'm really, really proud of, and I really believe in. And I don't know how anybody could look at this and not be like, this is fantastic. And so it's helping me find some faith in my situation. I'm still in a tight spot, but I'm just kind of trusting something's going to work out here. Countess Aramore. She's making errors, dude. That's so obvious. So let's get to it. I think this might be one of the most dramatic flip arounds ever. It just feels like you're pacing right towards death, and all the hand stuff is so under the surface, and there's a little bit of fire too. So you're like, if somebody's onto it, it's conflating it with like fireball vibes, right? But I don't even think that's really going to hit. It's just like, so the fire stuff is so couched on his inner flames. And it's just like, I think that's how it's going to be read. And people are going to be like, this is just a beautiful metaphor of how wizardry is grounded. But then it backs him into the situation where it's heart-wrenching. It's just like, this story feels so sad. It feels like he's not coming back. Dude, in my mind, that horse died. That horse died between section 3 and section 4, perhaps. He's not very happy when he's walking those streets. But that's the thing. In my mind, it's definitely the horse. That's an old horse. In that part, it's talking about how it's an old horse. In my mind, I have an optimistic take on this ending. But there's also just in my mind, it's like, dude, you don't know what happens when you call down lightning. But yeah, we get to the moment, and it's so cool to me. I even felt like the part where the way that person they were using as a hostage was shot and died, it was, I don't know, it made you feel bad for them. For me, it made me feel like crumbled into a cry of loss at wounds disbelieved. It just gets you there to that sad death, right? Where they're like, they're not ready for it, right? But yeah, it just goes so hard. Elavon dropped his weapon once exposed, so inadequately armed in the means to fight by those ways of youthful sorts. He was of wisdom, learnedness, and conceptualizations taught by nuances of the mind. It had shown him only one way to stare down hatred so blind. He knew it would change him to show it to these people. They had not ever been able to see Elavon's truth. So first time through, this is like, hey, I'm going to have to try and explain something to these people who are about to kill me, and it's not going to work. And then it's lightning crackled at his palms. And my idea is there's an alchemy in this moment. Fire was become of his mind. You're like, this bitch, this dog, backed me into the situation where I think this sweet wizard that I love is not going to go home, and it's going to be the saddest ending ever. And he has been coming towards wielding lightning in his hands this whole time. And then it just goes so hard on exactly how you would have to show it in a film to make it beyond all conceptions of dorkiness. It's kind of backwards, kind of like results first. Um, and then he's got to be beaming, dude. It's got to be beams. And he's like, wait, these beams work better than bolts, dude. And firelight, dude. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, I love it. I love it. And it's so brutal because when it gets to the second to last paragraph, I mean, it's like the last real paragraph is just a sentence after that. But when it seemed over, in my mind, my simulated reader is like, how could this be ended in one little paragraph in a short sentence in your subconscious? You're like, it's so good, but how could you do it? When it seemed over, when no others came out, when Elovon knew his marks would hide within their keep. When you hit that fourth win, you're like, okay, that's gonna set it up. You're like, when he realized that way he might take them inside. Instead, he chose to call their deaths from the sky. Burned they would, and alive. It's just the hottest thing ever. And it backs in lightning bolts being the hottest thing ever the whole way. And pondering orbs being very worthwhile and not of jokes. It's like we've made wizardry such a joke with Gandalf. It's like there's no pipe smoking in this dude. This dude's a warrior. He's probably getting high too. I was gonna write him getting high in here, but it's like, why, dude? He doesn't seem like that kind of guy. Anyways, I hope you all have a good night. This is a really long video. It's probably not gonna get uploaded for a while because it takes forever because I load these on my phone. So we'll figure it out. Have a good night. I hope you enjoy this story. If you are somebody who I've been reaching out to, please reach out to me if you like this and you want to support this, or you want to buy it, or you want to be friends, or you want to help me get help in the way I need, which is some financial support to get things up and running, because I'm hot and bothered for the short story collection. I've also got the Foundry, which is one good pass from me and a quick follow from an editor, from being highly publishable. And then I've got Beekeeper of the Dark, which is like the sickest, most mind-fucky, just like mind rape literature of understanding people's subconsciouses you don't want to, with a bunch of lies in there that give you reflections of the truth. And it's just the most psychological thing ever written. And I do not, it's like I'm taking my transgressiveness to like 8,000. And it's like, damn, I just know it. It's like somebody will publish that novella when I finish it. It's going to be like 12 different people. I'm just roasting people. I don't even know who they are. They're not any particular people. But I do have some targets. There's a couple people that I really want to get to, that I just like, there's some people that bother me that I'm like, I'm going to do them in Beekeeper of the Dark. Yeah, Dumb Sum is a place if you haven't read that. I don't recommend it. I hope you all have a good time doing whatever you're doing. Love y'all.